Today we're going to create our own colour swatch using this colour palette worksheet. So open yours in Photoshop. Yours should be completely blank. And what we want to do is start filling in our 5 initial colours on this row here. Our initial colours are going to be inspired by our inspiration research. So we're going to go over to our Swatches palette and we are going to go Reset Swatches and click OK. So this is going to reset this colour palette here to the default. If you can see any colours in the Swatches palette that are reflected in your inspiration imagery, you can click on them with the colour picker tool. So I'm going to select the blue. The blue should fill in my left hand corner, and then I'm going to click my paint bucket and fill a square with my initial colour. If I can't find a colour swatch that is reflected in my inspirational imagery, I'm going to open my inspirational picture in Photoshop. I'm going to use my eyedropper tool and find an image, a swatch within this that I would like to use. I'm going to click on it and you'll find that it's picked up in my fill square in my left hand corner. I'll go back to my original worksheet, use my fill bucket to then fill my square. So I've got my initial colours and you can see that they're reflected in my colour palette here. Then we're going to fill our columns down, and I'm going to start with my left hand swatch. The next colour I would need to fill with a contrast. So use my eyedropper to select that original colour and it will pop up in my fill bucket. I'm going to double click here, and what I need to now select is a contrasting colour to this original yellowy green. So using my colour wheel to guide me, my original colour would be between the yellows and the greens, and a contrast would be something towards the pink and purple. So I can use my hue dial. I don't need to move this colour picker, but I can if I want. And then I'm going to click OK. I will have that as my foreground colour. I'll click on my paint bucket and fill my square. The next one is a split complementary of my original colour. So click my eyedropper tool, make sure that's selected. Oops, there we go. In my foreground colour, I'm going to double click here. So split complementary is a colour that's opposite on the colour wheel and then one deviation on either side. So my split complementary for a yellow green should be quite a dark purple or blue purple. Okay. And I'm going to fill that. And then again, my other should be more of a pinky red. And I can match it against the current colour in this box here. So find one that's quite complementary. Okay, so I'm starting to get my colour scheme. My next box is lighten. Use your eyedropper tool, select your original colour, set as the foreground. Lighten means using your colour picker towards the top left hand corner, towards the white. So you're adding white like a tint. In the same way, darken is moving your colour picker towards the bottom left hand corner. Okay, then the final one is saturation. And saturation means the colour in its purest form, and we're going to move the colour picker towards the right top corner. Okay. So as you can imagine, you're going to get different colour swatches for each of the initial colours. What I would like you to do is, from all of the colours that you have on your worksheet, you're going to create a final colour swatch palette at the very top. And I've started collecting some colours here, and I can finish that off by selecting one final one for this swatch. And my final color, there you go. So my final swatches should have a base color, which is more dominant. We should have some colors that are close on the color wheel. So I've got a tint here, adding white, a shade, and then a green, which is close to the original blue. And then to make it a bit more dynamic, we've got something that's opposite the color wheel, like a complementary color. So here are my final 5. The last thing to do is to save your swatches. So we need to select our color with the eyedropper tool, double click, and go add to swatches. And I'm going to call my swatch a name and click OK, and it should come up in my swatches palette. If this waiting for libraries, we can just cancel out of here. And we're going to repeat that for each of our final colors, clicking on the eyedropper tool, double clicking the foreground color, add to swatch, give it an appropriate name and click OK, and cancel out of that, click OK here. So I've got my 4 swatches in my swatch palette now. Now we need to preset our swatches. So I'd like you to go to the icon in the right hand corner, click Preset Manager. What I want to do now is to delete everything except my 5 swatches. So hover over the swatch in the top left hand corner, hold down Alt and some scissors should appear, and click until we can delete all of them apart from the 5 that we want to save. After that, we will select Done, nearly there. Okay, select Done. See that reflected in our swatches palette. Now we need to save this palette because we're going to be working in Illustrator. So go to the right hand corner of your swatches palette. We're going to click Save Swatches for Exchange. And we will call this final swatch underscore your name and surname. And we will save this as an ASE file. That means that I can then open it and load it in an Illustrator file, which we'll be working on our final project. Click Save, and that is it. Make sure you go to File, Save as your color worksheet, color palette worksheet underscore your name and surname, and we're going to save this as a PSD file and make sure it's in your work folder. Save OK.